I'm with you 100%. I mean, people say to me, why don't you retire? You've had such a great career. Sit back on your laurels. You've done amazing things. And I say, no, I will never retire. Because for me, it's about paying it forward. It's about inspiring, just like you said, helping, inspiring people that, who are older. Agism. You're not too old. You're not too late. You can do something or reinvent yourself. Figure out what you want or start meditating. Start doing something that will help enrich your life. And I'm now getting up on a stage. I did a speaker school. Now I'm reconnecting what I used to speak and doing that. I'm not giving up anywhere. I don't care. I'm planning to live to 100 and still everything I want to do. Nobody's going to tell me.
I was reading about a woman the other day that she just turned like 100 years old, and she still drives. She drives. She buys her own groceries. She does all her stuff herself, and she's like, I never miss a happy hour. And it's funny because every time somebody's a centenarian, there's one thing they always say. Everybody takes a drink. At the end of the day, they're like, yeah, I have either whiskey or bourbon. I never miss happy hour. So apparently having a drink is okay in order for you to have a long life. But one of the things that I love that because she's like swimming. She's like living her best life at 100 years old. It's like, you don't have to, only because you're in the 70s and 80s, like don't give up. You still have another 20, 30, maybe even 40 years to go.
Right.
You can.
I think part of it is societal norms that people put these, years ago, people got married in their 20s. If you didn't, you were an outcast. I didn't get married till I was 40.
Welcome to the edge, where vision meets the test, where faith and fire build more than just success. Every voice a story, every scar a crown. This is the place where legacies are found. The entrepreneur's edge. We rise, we reign, we run.
Welcome back to the Entrepreneur's Edge. I'm so excited to introduce you to my guest, Terry. She is a phenomenal woman, and we've already had a couple of conversations. I love her spirit. I love her smile. I love her energy, and so will you. Terry, go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience.
Oh, God. Wow. With that build-up, I guess I could leave. Thank you, Raquel. Thank you. So I'm Terry Yoffe, and I am I'm a business coach, but I have 3 areas that I coach around. Agism, I am 82 young. I have had 6 decades of life, business experience, wisdom, knowledge. So agism is an area I do know well. Reinvention, I'm a reinvention coach. I have reinvented myself so many times, but it starts on the inside where a lot of people look out here. And last is a mastery of life, which is someone that helps people disenfranchise from the feeding frenzy of the mind. That we all have that. And one of the areas I'm very passionate about is really helping people figure out how not to engage so much with this, which is an addiction, as well as social media, because that's the feeding frenzy of the mind. It just pulls in what it takes instead of, it's controlling you instead of you're controlling it. And I'm very, very passionate about that and really helping people figure out how to have a different mindset to create the life they really want.
And truly, I mean, we hear this phrase all the time, and sometimes we hear phrases and they're like, oh yeah, I know that. But the reason is like, it's so common, it's because it's true. Mindset really is everything. It's controlling 95% or more of our automatic actions. Right. And so how did you end up really falling in love with that, and we're like, okay, I need to help people understand what's happening to them so that way they can live their best life.
Yes, that's true. So, you're asking me. So each one is different, right? So we'll stick with the feeding frenzy. Is that what you're talking about? That's the hardest one, right? I started studying spirituality in my 30s, so I've been doing it for 50 years. I went on a Buddhist retreat many years ago and really started to look at who runs our show. Do we, or does our mind? And 90% of the time it's the gremlin, the ego, whatever anyone wants to call it. And it doesn't give us a chance to find out who we are, what we want. And certainly today with the addiction of the phone, and it is an addiction, see people everywhere. I don't care who they are, walking on, I live in New York City. You see people crossing a street with this phone in front of them, and you wonder how, or social media.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no room for an individual to take time out and to really understand who they are. Because it's when I belong to a group, I'd say, what runs you runs your business. And that's still true. Who's running the show? Are you, or is that computer in your mind, which is the first computer, actually?
Yes.
Really? And
it's a mega computer.
Pardon?
It's a mega computer.
Yes, absolutely. And then people wonder, why can't I change? Or they look outside of themselves, right? To change. If only I had this, it would be great. If only I had that. And yet nothing happens. So people don't go inside themselves enough to figure out what's there, what their fears might be that's stopping them from really becoming the best version of themselves.
Yeah, and we're so fortunate to live in a time where science is really revealing to us how our brains work, how even our genes. I mean, I remember growing up and hearing that, we're kind of stuck with, you're born a certain way, you have certain genes and they're not going to change. And now we're finding out through epigenetics, not true. Because you can, some people call it, some scientists call it, turning it on or off. Other scientists say it's like having it express itself differently, but it gets turned on by observance. So we can actually turn our genes on and off depending on what we are beholding, what we're looking at, what we're perceiving. And this has always been an attention economy, except that now, to your point, with social media and our phones, it's like, what are we really paying with our attention? And everything is, right, the dings. We're looking for the dings. We're looking for the likes. It gives us that dopamine hit. Right. And then we really do get addicted. And I do see a trend where people have, after the fungalitis of not being able to be together and not being able to have events and be in person, that's kind of turning where people are really looking for putting their phones down, being able to go to events, being able to go to retreats, being able to be in a community of people who are like them and getting away from things. Are you seeing that also around you? The people are desiring more of the, let me get to know you as a person. Let's get into real community.
Right. I have found that I am drawn to people that don't start off with, let's talk about politics. I mean, which could be the worst thing. that one could talk, but to really talk about meaningful things in life, really meaningful, which for me is where I get my strength in a lot of ways. I get addicted to hearing and talking to people. And, the thing is, everyone is guilty of it. You'll be somewhere and all of a sudden you'll pull out your phone. Oh, yeah, right. 1 minute. I'm guilty of that. And I try very hard not to be, because they're not present. And so I don't go seeking people that are phone addicts, if you will, or social media addicts. I was just having a conversation with a gentleman on his podcast, and he said, one of the biggest things is loneliness.
Yes.
And he said, especially with men. Interesting. But, I think during the pandemic, people were isolated. And this is how they had to communicate. But kids are committing suicide because they're looking at social media and they're comparing themselves, or they're getting bullied online. So while everything has its place, right, Raquel? And everything has a time, you can overdo it. I'm not saying a phone is bad. I'm not saying being in business, I put up content all the time. However, I try very hard not to sit for hours.
Yeah.
How do you think? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, it's the same. And like I'm a hyper creative.
Yes.
So I do a lot of things. I do sit for hours, and I do sit in front of the computer for hours because I'm writing, I'm creating, I'm a music producer, right? But I love doing that's why I love doing podcasts like this, where I get to meet I've already met interesting people, and I want to showcase them, and I get to talk to them about what they're doing and what's exciting for them, because that really lights me up. I love that. But where we're so focused on, on escaping, it's like, okay, why are you then escaping from your life? And that's really what it is. That's the conversation. What is it around your life that you feel like you need to escape? Now, people tend to cope with things differently, and they have to calm down differently, the way they wind down. But beyond the winding down, why is it taking you 4 hours to wind down? Is there something maybe in your process or in your work, or maybe your perception of your work that can change in order for you not to have to feel like you have to wind down scrolling or watching Netflix? And I know people who's like, well, I don't watch TV, they're very, but they're like, well, what do you do? Well, sit there for 4 or 5 hours reading books that really do not elevate them. It's still a story. So it's like, okay, you're not Netflixing, but you're reading that book that basically is a novela. It's basically the same thing that you would be watching on television anyway. And it's no different. And sometimes they don't even recognize that, oh, I've been reading this book for 5 hours. It's the same thing. And you might as well be watching Netflix, because it's not empowering you. Yes, it's making you feel good. Maybe you feel maybe more intellectual, or sometimes a little bit more snobby. I love you all. You know who you are. Like, I don't go on social, but you've read 20 hours of books that did nothing for your future, that did nothing to empower you, that did nothing to elevate you. And like you said, right, everything has its place. But when you're looking at your totality of your time, my thing is do you really want to go to the grave full? It is the richest place on the earth. Do you want to really give it, even make that even richer, because you didn't do what you were created to do? Everybody's created, I think, to do something spectacular and wonderful. I mean, that's why we're here. It's like we get to change the world one person at a time. And so it's like, I want to go to the grave empty. I want to go to the grave, like, edifying as many people as I can and empowering them and inspiring them and motivating them, smiling at them. Some people don't even get smiled at,
I know. Right.
So what do you think about that?
I'm with you 100%. I mean, people say to me, why don't you retire? You've had such a great career. Sit back on your laurels. You've done amazing things. And I say, no, I will never retire, because for me, it's about paying it forward. It's about inspiring, just like you said, helping, inspiring people that, who are older. Agism. You're not too old. You're not too late. You can do something or reinvent yourself. Figure out what you want, or start meditating. Start doing something that will help enrich your life. And I'm now getting up on a stage. I did a speaker school. Now I'm reconnecting what I used to speak and doing that. I'm not giving up anywhere. I don't care. I'm planning to live to 100 and fill everything I want to do. Nobody's going to tell me.
I was reading about a woman the other day that she just turned like 100 years old, and she still drives. She drives. She buys her own groceries. She does all her stuff herself, and she's like, I never miss a happy hour. And it's funny because every time somebody's a centenarian, there's one thing they always say. Everybody takes a drink. At the end of the day, they're like, yeah, I have either whiskey or bourbon. I never miss happy hour. So apparently having a drink is okay in order for you to have a long life. But one of the things that I love that, because she's like swimming, she's like living her best life at 100 years old. It's like, you don't have to, only because you're in the 70s and 80s, like, don't give up. You still have another 20, 30, maybe even 40 years to go.
Right.
You can.
I think part of it is societal norms that people put these, years ago, people got married in their 20s. If you didn't, you were an outcast. I didn't get married till I was 40. So, and I didn't start even get on the coaching path till I was 60. I started my podcast 3.5 years ago in my late 70s. So, I think there has to be a mindset. I don't know if you ever heard of, she's big in New York, Iris Apfel. She was a big fashion icon. She died last year at 102. She was doing commercials for eyeglasses, for rugs. She had big glasses and she wore all this big jewelry. She's my role model. She was just doing, and she never stopped.
I love that. And it's just like, there's so many opportunities, especially if you live in the United States, where we are so fortunate that we can pivot. If we have opportunity to innovate, we have opportunity to be creative, we have opportunity to, we actually can create the opportunities for ourselves. If we don't like something, we can actually create the opportunity for ourselves to do better. And so I know that we're wrapping up with our conversation, but I would love to know, any other nuggets, and what exciting thing are you working on right now that our audience can find you?
Oh, I'm working on getting speaking engagements, right? I have a couple. Virtual. I'm just starting. So my goal is to really find stages to talk about, whether it's ages and reinventing yourself. I want to inspire people that I'm 82. You don't have to stop. You really don't. And so that's, every day I'm looking at something different. I'm meeting great people like you, really. People that I connect with.
Yeah.
And, life is just can be that way. If you just let go of some of these beliefs you have, collectively, and find the space to sit and think and not be caught up in the social media and comparing yourself and saying you're too old at 40 to change careers. So
yeah. Yeah, and some of our favorite people, right? Like you have Vera Wang, who didn't start doing dresses until her 50s, Colonel Sanders. Like we hear all these stories of people who didn't actually start their life until their 50s and 60s. It's
right,
like,
exactly.
if you're in your 50s and 60s, you are just getting started. What are you talking about, young buck? Get it together.
Right, that's exactly right. Exactly right. And life is to be lived, but most people carry so much baggage that it's weights that weighs them down.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. So good. What is the best way for people to find you, to connect with you?
I am having my website redone, so I'm very excited, but it's www.coaching, COACHING.com. They can find me at Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Terry Yoffe or Terry Yoffe Herman.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to go ahead and put all the information in the description. So you're like, no, but I need, because sometimes we just like a link. I'm one of those. Can I just get it in the description, please, so I can click? So everything you need to know about my friend Terry here will be down below in the description. Is there anything else you would like to leave with our audience today?
Throw off the cloak that life might have put on you and just live. Find your path, and you have one life. This is not a dress rehearsal.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for your time with me. I love our conversations. I love your energy and the beautiful smile of yours. And until next time, everyone, from everyone here at Entrepreneur's Edge, may God's riches and best be yours. Bye for now.
Bye.
Welcome to the edge, where vision meets the test, where faith